I show up early. That's always been my style. I arrive early to everything because being on time doesn't mean you're there when it starts. It means you're there before anyone expects you. The parking lot is already filling up with minivans and sedans, parents getting out in their nice clothes, talking excitedly about their kids. I'm wearing a clean button-down shirt, the blue one my son always said brought out my eyes. It's a little thing, but I want to look like the father who shows up. Like the father who matters. In my shirt pocket, carefully folded, is the graduation program my son gave me last week. He printed it early, handed it to me with this nervous smile, like he wasn't sure I'd actually come. As if I would miss this. As if anything in the world could keep me away from watching my son walk across that stage. The high school is enormous. It always has been. Riverside High, sitting on the corner of Oak and Fifth, the building spreading out like some kind of fortress made of brick and determination. I've picked my son up from this place 100 times over the years. I've sat in that parking lot waiting for him, watching students pour out of those doors like they own the world. Today feels different, though. Today feels heavy. The air itself seems thicker, charged with something I can't quite name. Maybe it's anticipation. Maybe it's dread. Maybe it's both. I walk toward the main entrance, my shoes making crisp sounds against the concrete. Other parents are filing in around me, and I notice how they move together, how they laugh and chat with people they probably know from other school events. I've been at most of those events. Basketball games, band concerts, award assemblies. I know a lot of these people, but something about today makes me feel separate from all of it. Maybe it's because I know what's coming, or maybe I just sense it. That feeling you get when you walk into a room and know someone's been talking about you. That feeling that precedes bad news. The front doors are heavy. They have that institutional weight to them, the kind of doors designed to keep the world out and control the world in. I pull one open and step into the main hallway. The smell hits me first, that combination of floor wax and cafeteria food that never quite goes away from schools. I've smelled it thousands of times, and today it smells like history. Like something important is about to happen, like my life is about to change. The security station is right there, just inside the doors. That's new. They've added a metal detector since the last event I attended. Security has gotten tighter over the years, which I understand. I support it. I want schools to be safe. The security guard is a man in his 50s, maybe, with a name tag that says Martinez. I've seen him before at other events. He seems like a good guy, professional but friendly, the kind of man who takes his job seriously but doesn't take himself too seriously. I approach the desk and smile. Hi there, I'm here for the graduation ceremony, Eric Walker. Martinez looks at his clipboard. He flips through a few pages. His expression doesn't change, which is somehow worse than if he'd frowned. He keeps looking. He keeps flipping. And then he looks up at me, and his eyes are careful. They're the eyes of someone who knows he's about to deliver bad news to someone who doesn't deserve it. His jaw tightens slightly, and I see him take a breath before speaking. Sir, he says quietly, you're on the do not admit list. Behind me, I hear other parents stop talking. I feel their eyes on my back. I feel the weight of the question forming in their minds. Why is this man not being admitted? What did he do? What kind of person gets put on a do not admit list at a high school graduation? The implications hang in the air like a threat. I step to the side. I don't make a scene. That's not who I am. I'm the kind of person who steps to the side when the world tells him to. I'm the kind of person who takes it quietly, or at least I have been. For 3 years, I've been taking things quietly. For 3 years since the divorce was finalized, I've been the careful father. The father who shows up, the father who pays support on time, the father who doesn't argue, who doesn't push, who just accepts the way things are. But something inside me is changing, something that says I've been quiet for long enough. My voice comes out steady, which surprises me. What do you mean, do not admit list? I'm his father, I have custody rights. Martinez shifts uncomfortably. He doesn't like this. I can tell he doesn't like this. He's clearly uncomfortable being the messenger, which is fair. It's not his fault. He's just doing his job. But his discomfort doesn't change the fact that I'm standing here, being told I can't go into the building where my son is preparing to graduate. Sir, I just work security, but the note here says your ex-wife called it in. Admin note says, deny entry. He says this quietly, like he's confessing something. Like he's sorry. There it is. The thing I knew was coming, but somehow still doesn't feel real when it lands. It's one thing to suspect that your ex-wife might try something like this. It's another thing to have it confirmed by a security guard at your son's graduation. Can I see the note? I ask. I can't show that to you, Martinez says, but she specifically requested that you not be allowed in. I look toward the auditorium doors. Through them, I can see rows and rows of chairs being set up. I can see students in blue robes in the hallway beyond, lining up nervously. One of them is my son. I know he is. Somewhere in that crowd of cap and gown and anticipation, my son is standing, probably checking his phone, probably wondering if I'm here yet, probably hoping I made it, probably nervous about walking across that stage. And he has no idea that his mother is trying to keep me from being there. I need to speak to someone in the office, I say. My voice is calm, but inside I can feel something shifting. I can feel the anger starting to build, but I'm pushing it down. I'm locking it away. Getting angry won't help. Getting angry will only prove whatever narrative they've built about me. Martinez nods like he expected that. Down that hallway, administrative offices are on your left. You can ask for the principal. I fold the graduation program back into my pocket carefully. The paper is a little worn from being handled so much over the past week. I can feel my hands shaking a little, but I keep them steady. I keep my breathing level. I've learned to do that over the past 3 years. I've learned how to keep everything locked down tight. How to present the calm exterior while everything inside is breaking. The hallway is long and lined with lockers and bulletin boards filled with college acceptance letters and sports announcements. My son's name is on one of these boards. I see it as I walk past. Marcus Walker, accepted to State University on academic scholarship. That's my boy. That's what we built together. We built this success together, through his hard work and my support, and they want to keep me from seeing him walk across that stage. I think about who I am. Eric Walker, 46 years old, divorced, 3 years. Never missed a school event in his life until the custody situation changed. Fought hard in court for stable custody, joint custody to be specific. The kind of custody arrangement that says, both parents matter. Both parents get access, both parents have rights, both parents have responsibilities. I promised my son I'd be there. I said it last week when he handed me that program. I said, son, I wouldn't miss this for anything in the world. And he smiled that smile that makes him look like his mother, but confident like me. And he said, I know, Dad. I know you'll be here. And I will be. Even if I have to walk through every door in this building and face every person who tries to stop me, I will be here. The administrative office is exactly where Martinez said it would be. I can see the sign from the hallway, main office, administrative staff. Inside, the walls are that institutional beige that all schools seem to love. The secretary is sitting at a desk surrounded by phones and filing cabinets, and the kind of organized chaos that only office workers truly understand. Her name tag says, Mrs. Chen. She looks up as I enter, and her expression is neutral, professional. She has no idea who I am yet. She has no idea what's coming. Can I help you? She asks, and her voice is pleasant, trained to be helpful. The kind of voice that's been refined through years of dealing with parents and students and all the various dramas that come with working in a school office. I need to speak with the principal, I say. I was told I'm on a do not admit list, and I need to understand why. I see the moment recognition hits her face. It's subtle, but it's there. A tightening around the eyes, a shift in her jaw. She knows exactly who I am and what this is about. She's been briefed. She's been told to expect trouble. She knows what I'm here to talk about before I even explain it. One moment, she says, and she picks up the phone. She dials a number without looking it up, which means she's called this person recently. Probably more than once. She speaks quietly into the receiver, too quiet for me to hear clearly, but I catch fragments. He's here. At the office? Yes. There's a pause as she listens to whoever is on the other end. Then she hangs up. The principal will see you in just a moment. Please have a seat. I don't sit down. I stand in that office, looking at the pictures on the walls, photos of past graduating classes, going back decades, smiling faces of students who walked across that stage and went on to do things. To matter, to succeed. I wonder if any of those students had to fight just to be allowed to watch their own graduation. I wonder if any of those faces in those old photographs had parents who were in custody disputes. Parents who were trying to erase each other from their children's lives. The door to the principal's office opens, and Principal Harrison comes out. I've met him before at school events. He's a tall man, maybe 55, with gray hair, and the kind of face that's learned to be professional about difficult situations. He doesn't look happy to see me. He looks like he's steeling himself for a confrontation. He looks like someone who's been told to expect trouble and is prepared to handle it. "Mr. Walker," he says, and it's just a name, but it carries weight. "Come with me, please." I follow him into his office. It's large and imposing, with a desk that separates him from the world and a wall of diplomas and certificates that prove he knows what he's doing. He sits behind the desk, and I know what this means. He's putting a barrier between us. He's establishing authority. He's making it clear that this is his domain, and I'm just a visitor here. "Mr. Walker," he begins, "I'm going to be direct with you. We received information this morning that you should not be admitted to the ceremony." "What kind of information?" I ask. I'm sitting down now, in the chair across from his desk. I'm trying to stay calm. I'm trying to think clearly. "The information came from your ex-wife. She indicated there are safety concerns." "Safety concerns about what?" "About me." I can hear my voice getting tighter. I can feel the controls slipping slightly. What safety concerns could there possibly be about me attending my son's graduation? The principal is quiet for a moment. He's choosing his words carefully. He's a professional, and he knows that what he says next could escalate this situation. I'm not at liberty to discuss specifics, but we have to take these concerns seriously. School policy requires us to ensure the safety of all students and families. "What about my rights as his father?" I ask. "What about my custody arrangement?" "Your custody arrangement covers residential and decision-making rights. It doesn't necessarily guarantee your presence at school events if there are safety concerns. That's our legal interpretation." I reach into my pocket, and I pull out the one page I brought. Just one page. I made copies of it and kept them with me for months. Always prepared for a moment like this. It's my custody order from the court. It's dated 3 years ago, and it's been updated with all the required stamps and signatures. On this page, in clear language that no one can misinterpret, it says both parents are allowed to attend school events unless a judge orders otherwise. Unless there's a legal restraining order. Unless there's an actual court document that says I'm a danger. I slide the page across his desk. This is my custody order. It's current and valid. It clearly states that both parents are allowed to attend school events. The principal takes the page and reads it. I watch his face. I watch him scan the words, and I see the moment he realizes that his position is not as solid as he thought it was. His jaw tightens. He puts the paper down. He's calculating now. He's trying to figure out how to maintain control of this situation while also protecting himself legally. "Mr. Walker, I understand this is difficult, but we have a responsibility to follow the requests of the school community." "The school community? You mean my ex-wife?" "I mean the parent who expressed concerns. My son is also a member of the school community. Did he express any concerns about me being here? Did you ask him?" "I don't think that's relevant." "I think it's completely relevant," I say, and I can feel something shifting inside me. I can feel the anger starting to rise, and I have to push it down. I have to stay calm. Getting angry will only prove whatever narrative they've built about me. Getting angry will only make things worse. They're probably expecting me to get angry. They're probably prepared for me to yell or make threats. And if I do that, they'll use it as evidence that I'm the kind of person who shouldn't be around. I take a breath. What exactly are the safety concerns? Can you tell me that? I'm not comfortable getting into specifics. Then I'm asking to speak to whoever is making this decision. I'm making this decision, the principal says. Then I'm asking you to put your decision in writing. Because right now, you're denying a father the right to attend his son's graduation based on vague safety concerns and a request from an ex-wife, despite a clear custody order that says I have every right to be here. So either put that in writing or let me in. Those are your options. I see the security supervisor standing in the doorway. I hadn't heard him come in. He's a man I don't recognize, maybe 40, with that authoritative posture of someone who's used to controlling situations. His arms are crossed over his chest. He's sizing me up. He's trying to determine if I'm going to be a problem. The principal looks at the security supervisor. There's a conversation happening without words. It's the kind of silent communication that happens between people who work together regularly. They know what each other is thinking. They know what each other is going to do. And I can see the moment they make a decision together. The principal looks back at me. If you're wrong about this, he says carefully, and there actually is a valid restraining order or court-ordered protection, and I let you in, I could face serious consequences. Are you willing to put your name and your reputation on that? It's a good question. It's the kind of question designed to make someone doubt themselves. It's designed to make someone back down. It's designed to make someone realize that they might lose everything if they push too hard. Yes, I say. I'm willing to put my reputation on it, because I know the truth. I know that there is no restraining order. I know that I have every legal right to be here. And I know that you're being asked to do something that's against school policy, against state law, and against my custody rights. So yes, let me in. And if I'm wrong, you can call the police yourself. The security supervisor steps further into the room. His name tag says Thompson. He's young enough that this is probably his first real job in security, old enough that he's learned how to project authority. Sir, he says, and his voice is calm but firm. We're trying to handle this without incident, but we need you to understand that we're going to protect this school and we're going to follow the directives we've been given. By one parent, I say. One parent out of two. That's correct. And the other parent, the student, doesn't get a say in this? Not in terms of school security decisions, no. I look at the principal. I look at Thompson. I'm trying to figure out how to navigate this, how to find the path forward that doesn't involve me being physically removed from this building. I'm trying to think strategically about what my best move is. Do I push harder? Do I back down? Do I call my lawyer right now? I'm not going to argue with you anymore, I say calmly. But I'm also not leaving without speaking to someone with more authority than a principal. Is there a district office? Is there a superintendent? The superintendent's office is downtown, the principal says. He's relaxing slightly. He thinks I'm leaving. He thinks I've given up. Is there anyone from the district office in this building today? There's a pause. Thompson and the principal exchange another look. I can see them calculating. I can see them wondering if they should tell me the truth or if they should just let me go. There might be, Thompson says finally. Let me check. He leaves the office. I stand there with the principal, and the silence between us is heavy. I can hear the sounds of the school around us, footsteps in the hallway, a bell ringing somewhere. The normal sounds of a school day, except that it's graduation day, and nothing is normal. I'm not a bad person, I say quietly. I've never been a threat to anyone. I pay my support on time. I've been at every single school event. I've never caused a scene. And now, because my ex-wife decided she doesn't want me here, I'm suddenly a danger? That doesn't make sense. I understand this is frustrating, the principal says. It's not frustrating. It's discriminatory. It's preventing me from my legal right to attend a public school event. And unless there's an actual court order, you're acting outside your authority. The principal doesn't respond. He just sits there looking at the page of my custody order. Thompson comes back about 5 minutes later. 5 minutes that feel like an hour. 5 minutes during which I'm wondering if this is going to work. 5 minutes during which I'm wondering if I'm going to have to do something more drastic. The district rep is in the building, he says. 3rd floor. But she's in a meeting right now. She can see you in about 15 minutes. Fine, I say. I'll wait. I leave the principal's office and sit in the hallway outside the administrative area. Other parents are passing by, heading to their seats. I can hear them talking about the ceremony, about how proud they are, about what comes next, and I'm sitting on a bench in a hallway, waiting to prove that I have the right to exist in my own son's life. Waiting to prove that I'm not the bad guy that my ex-wife has painted me as. My phone buzzes. It's a text from my ex-wife. The message is short. Don't make a scene. That's when I know this was planned. That's when I know this isn't just a random request. This is organized. This is calculated. She knew exactly what would happen when I showed up. She planned for this moment. She's probably already rehearsed her story. She's probably already prepared the narrative about why I'm dangerous and why the school needs to keep me out. I don't respond to the text. I just put my phone away and wait. Around me, the school is filling up with the energy of graduation day. I can hear the band warming up somewhere in the building. I can hear the controlled chaos of staff members making final preparations, and I'm sitting on a bench like I'm in trouble. Like I'm the problem. Like I'm someone the school needs to protect against. My mind goes through the timeline. When did my ex-wife call the school? This morning? Last night? And how did she do it? Did she mention a restraining order, or did she just say she was uncomfortable with me being here? And why would the school take that seriously without any documentation? What kind of liability are they even exposing themselves to by denying me entry without legal justification? I think about the custody arrangement. It was clear, no ambiguity. Both parents, equal access unless a judge says otherwise. There's no judge here. There's just my ex-wife, making decisions for both of us. Making decisions about my son's life without my input. Making decisions that affect my relationship with my child. A woman appears at the far end of the hallway, walking toward the administrative area. She's professional looking, with a folder under her arm and the kind of walk that says she's used to being in charge. She sees me sitting on the bench and slows down slightly, curious. She's studying me. She's trying to figure out who I am and why I'm sitting here looking upset. Then she continues into the administrative office. That's probably the district rep. I give her a few minutes to get settled, and then I stand up and follow her in. The secretary, Mrs. Chen, looks up. She's expecting me. The district rep? I ask. She's in the back office. Just one moment, please. But I don't sit down. I stand there and I pull out my custody order again. I look at it, reading the specific language one more time. Both parents shall have access to educational records and shall be permitted to attend school events unless said access is limited by court order issued by a judge of this state. There is no court order. There is only a request from my ex-wife, and that request, no matter how firmly she makes it, no matter how she frames it as a safety concern, is not legal grounds to deny me access. It doesn't matter what she says about me. It doesn't matter if she has concerns. The law is clear, the custody agreement is clear, and I have every right to be here. The back door opens, and the district rep comes out. She's a woman maybe in her 50s, professional and composed. When she sees me, there's a flash of recognition in her eyes. I've seen her before. She was at a school event last year, and when a man collapsed in the stands, her father, someone told me later, I was the one who ran to get help. I was the one who called the paramedics. I was the one who stayed with him until help arrived. I was the one who made sure he was okay before I left his side. Mr. Walker, she says, and her voice is warm. She remembers me. She remembers what I did. Yes, I say. I need to talk to you about something. She nods. Come with me to my temporary office. Her temporary office is small, just a borrowed space with a desk and 2 chairs. She sits across from me and folds her hands on the desk. There's a nameplate that says Dr. Sarah Mitchell, District Representative. She looks at me with an expression that's both professional and kind. What's going on? She asks. I explain the situation. I tell her about the do not admit list. I tell her about the principal's refusal to let me in. I tell her about the vague safety concerns and the complete lack of documentation. And then I tell her about my custody order and what it says clearly and plainly. I talk about how my ex-wife called the school and asked them to keep me out without providing any legal basis for that request. She listens without interrupting. She doesn't take notes, but I can see her processing the information. I can see her thinking about the implications. I can see her understanding that this is a serious issue, not just a miscommunication. When I'm done, she says, "Do you have your custody order with you?" I slide it across the desk. She reads it carefully, taking her time. She doesn't just scan it. She actually reads it. She reads every word. She reads the dates and the signatures and the language. She's evaluating it. She's making sure it's legitimate and that it says what I claim it says. "This is clear," she says when she's done. "This clearly states you have the right to be here. There's no ambiguity in this language." That's what I said. So why is the principal refusing to let me in? What's his authority to deny me access? Has he given you a specific reason, beyond vague safety concerns? No. He mentioned something about a restraining order, but I don't have a restraining order. There's no court order against me at all. I've never done anything to warrant a court order. I've never been arrested. I've never violated my custody agreement. I've never done anything wrong. Do you have documentation of that? I can call my attorney. He has all my court records, but I shouldn't have to. The burden of proof should be on the school, not on me. If there's a restraining order, they should be able to produce it immediately. If they can't, then they should let me in. It's that simple. She nods like I'm making sense. And I am making sense. This is basic logic. This is basic law. You're right. Let me go talk to the principal. She stands up and I stand up with her. We walk back into the main office area and I can see the principal seeing her and straightening up. He stands when she enters. He's showing respect to someone with more authority than him. He's acknowledging that she's in charge now. Dr. Mitchell speaks to him quietly, and I see the moment he realizes he's made a mistake. His face changes. His posture changes. He looks smaller somehow. He looks like a man who's just realized he's on the wrong side of the law. "Mr. Walker," the principal says, and now his voice is different. It's cautious. It's careful. It's the voice of someone who's worried about liability. "I apologize for the confusion. If you have a valid custody order, then of course you're welcome to attend." "Confusion?" I say. "There was no confusion. You were explicitly told to keep me out. So what changed?" He doesn't answer. He just looks uncomfortable. He looks like he wants this situation to end as quickly as possible. "Here's what's going to happen," Dr. Mitchell says to me. "You're going to be admitted. You're going to sit in the back of the auditorium, away from your ex-wife. You're not going to approach anyone or cause any disruption. And after the ceremony, we're going to have a conversation about the school's procedures for handling these kinds of requests." "Agreed?" "Agreed," I say. But I'm thinking about what happened here. I'm thinking about how the principal was willing to violate my legal rights without documentation. I'm thinking about how quickly authority figures cave when someone with more authority shows up. Security escorts me down the hallway. I'm walking down the same hallway I've walked 100 times before, but this time I'm being escorted like I'm a threat. Parents who are heading to the auditorium look at me as I pass. They whisper. They wonder what I've done. They construct narratives in their minds about why a man would be escorted by security at a graduation ceremony. None of them know the truth. None of them know that I've done nothing wrong. The auditorium is massive and filling up quickly. The seats are arranged in neat rows, and the stage is set up at the front with flowers and decorations. It's beautiful. It's the kind of setting that should make a parent's heart swell with pride. And I'm angry, which makes the beauty hurt more. Every flower, every carefully arranged chair, every detail that someone spent hours preparing, it all feels like a reminder of what I almost lost. Security leads me to the back, to a section marked off for late arrivals or observers. It's not where the other parents are sitting. It's separate. It's isolated. But it's in the room, which is what matters. I'm in the room. I'm here. I sit down and wait. Around me, the auditorium continues to fill. I can see my ex-wife coming in with her mother, my former mother-in-law. She's dressed like it's her graduation, not just her grandson's. She's beaming like she's won some kind of victory. And when she sees me sitting in the back, alone and separate from everyone else, her smile gets bigger. My ex-mother-in-law is one of the reasons my marriage fell apart. She had opinions about everything I did, everything I said, every choice I made. She treated me like I was never good enough for her daughter. Even though I loved her daughter more than I loved myself. She would make comments about my job, my family, my interests. She would find fault with everything, and when the divorce happened, she was there, supporting her daughter, encouraging her to take everything from me. I thought I was finally rid of having to deal with her constant criticism. But here she is, at my son's graduation, still making it about her. Still celebrating like she's won something. Still smiling like she knows something I don't. She leans over and says something to my ex-wife, and my ex-wife looks back at me. Our eyes meet for just a second, and then she looks away. There's no apology in her eyes. There's just determination. Like she's decided something about me, and no evidence will change her mind. Like she's committed to a narrative, and she's going to stick to it no matter what. The ceremony is about to start. I can feel it in the energy of the room. The band is getting ready to play the processional. The staff members are getting into position. And somewhere backstage, my son is lining up with his classmates, about to walk out and receive his diploma. About to take a step into the future. About to become someone new. I take out my phone and put it on silent. This moment is about him. Everything that happened before this moment, the fight, the argument, the forced separation from the rest of the parents, none of it matters compared to this. My son earned his diploma. My son worked hard. My son deserves to have his moment celebrated. He deserves to walk across that stage knowing that his father is in the room, watching, proud, witnessing this accomplishment. The lights dim, the band starts to play, and the procession begins. Students in blue robes and white stoles start walking down the aisle. They look nervous and excited and proud. They look like people on the edge of something big. And I'm looking for my son in that crowd. Watching your child walk across a stage is a moment that defies description. There's pride, obviously. There's joy. But there's also this strange sense of time stopping. For a few seconds, nothing else matters. Not the argument about whether I should be here, not the anger at my ex-wife, not the separation of my seat from everyone else's. There's only the moment. Only the sight of my son in his blue cap and gown, looking older than he ever has, looking ready to step into the world. His name is called Marcus Walker. He walks across the stage. He shakes the principal's hand. He accepts his diploma. And then, for just a second, he looks toward the back of the auditorium. Toward me. His eyes find mine across the distance, and his shoulders relax. That's when I know that everything I did today, every fight, every moment of standing my ground, it was worth it. Because he needed to know I was here. He needed to know that nothing could keep me away. I watch him move across the stage and disappear on the other side. Other names are called. Other students walk. But I'm still focused on where he went. Still thinking about that moment when our eyes met and he knew. He knew I didn't give up. He knew I fought for him. He knew that I was willing to stand my ground and be present in his life. The ceremony continues for another hour. Speeches are made about the future and about legacy and about how these students are going to change the world. Adults talk about potential and possibility and the excitement of new beginnings. I listen to it all, sitting in the back, alone but present. I listen and I think about my son and what comes next for him. When the final diploma is awarded, the crowd erupts. Caps are thrown in the air, parents stand and cheer, and I stand and cheer too, my voice joining with everyone else's, because my son did it. He made it through. He's graduated. He's accomplished something significant, and I was here to see it. I watched the students leave the stage, still in their robes, buzzing with energy and accomplishment. I watched the staff members start moving around, beginning the process of cleanup and transition. I watched the organized chaos of the end of a ceremony. The ceremony ends and people start to file out. I stay in my seat for a moment, letting the crowd thin. I'm not trying to avoid anything. I'm just trying to let this moment settle, trying to understand what just happened, trying to figure out what comes next. I'm trying to process the fact that I almost didn't get to have this moment. That my ex-wife almost successfully kept me from seeing my son graduate. That's when an assistant principal approaches me. She's a woman I haven't seen before, maybe 40, with an expression that's professional but not unkind. Her name tag says, Miss Rodriguez. Mr. Walker? She says. The principal would like to speak with you again in his office. I nod. I knew this was coming. I knew there would be more to deal with, but for just a few more minutes, I let myself feel like a parent who successfully stood his ground. Let me feel like I did something that mattered. Let me feel like I won. The walk back to the office is quieter than the walk before. The hallways are clearing out as families make their way to parking lots and celebrations. We pass students still in their robes, excited and buzzing with energy. The kind of energy that comes from accomplishing something you've been working toward for years. And I'm walking toward another confrontation. The principal's office is where it was before. He's sitting behind his desk, and this time Dr. Mitchell is with him. She doesn't look angry. She looks concerned. That's somehow worse. Anger I can understand. Anger makes sense. But concern feels more complicated. Please sit down, Mr. Walker, the principal says. I sit. I want to apologize for the confusion this morning, the principal begins. But I notice he says confusion, not mistake. Confusion is softer than mistake. Confusion is easier to accept than responsibility. But I also want to move forward in a way that protects everyone. The district rep and I have discussed this, and we'd like to propose that going forward, you and your ex-wife sign a mutual no-contact agreement for all school events. This means you attend separately, you don't interact, and we have security present. I listen to this, and I understand what's happening. They're trying to make peace by treating me as if I'm a problem. They're trying to be fair by splitting the difference. But this isn't about splitting the difference. This is about whether I have rights or not. This is about whether the law matters or whether whatever makes people most comfortable matters more. No, I say. Excuse me? The principal asks. He's taken aback. He wasn't expecting a simple no. He was expecting negotiation. He was expecting me to be grateful for being allowed in and willing to compromise to make things easier. No, I'm not signing anything. Not here. Not under pressure, not like this. If you want to make changes to school policy about parental attendance, that's fine. That's your job. But I'm not signing any agreements. Not with my ex-wife, not with the school. If you want to talk about this with my attorney present, you can call him. Otherwise, I'm leaving. Mr. Walker, Dr. Mitchell starts. I appreciate your help today, I interrupt. I really do. Without you, I wouldn't have gotten in. I understand that. But I'm not negotiating my rights as a father. My custody order is clear. My presence at school events is not dependent on my ex-wife's comfort level. And if the school wants to change that, they're going to need an actual court order, not a conversation in an office. Dr. Mitchell nods slightly. She understands. She gets it. She knows that I'm right. The principal and the district rep exchange a look. I can see them recalibrating. I can see them realizing that I'm not someone who's going to be easily pushed around. I'm not someone who's going to take whatever compromise they offer and be grateful for it. Fine, the principal says. But I can hear frustration in his voice. But I want it on record that we offered you a solution and you declined it. Put whatever you want on record, I say. Just make sure you also put on record that I was denied admission based on a request from my ex-wife, despite having a valid custody order. Make sure you put on record that the school was going to accept a request without documentation of any legal basis. Make sure you put on record how close you came to denying a father the right to see his son graduate. Make sure that's all on record. I stand up. Is there anything else? No, Dr. Mitchell says quietly. Thank you for handling this professionally. I nod and leave the office. I'm walking out of that building knowing that I won. Not because I was louder or because I was more aggressive, but because I knew my rights and I refused to back down. Outside the building, the parking lot is crowded with families taking pictures. I can see other students being hugged by proud parents. I can see celebrations happening. Grandparents taking selfies with graduates. Younger siblings running around in their nice clothes. And I'm standing alone, trying to figure out what happens next. My phone buzzes. It's a text from my son. Where are you? I text back, out front, by the flagpole. A few minutes later, he finds me. He's still in his cap and gown, and he's got this look on his face like he's not sure what to feel. Like he's proud and confused and angry all at the same time. Like he knows something happened and he's trying to process it. What happened? He asks. Why were they trying to keep you out? I could lie. I could tell him it was a misunderstanding. I could protect him from the knowledge of what his mother did today. But he's 18 years old. He's starting college next year. He deserves the truth. He deserves to know his mother for who she really is, not for some sanitized version that I create to protect his feelings. Your mother called the school and asked them to keep me out, I say simply. His face changes. I watch the confusion turn to anger. I watch him process what I'm saying. I watch him understand that his mother actively tried to keep his father from his graduation. What? Why would she do that? I don't know, son. I don't think I'll ever fully understand her motivations. But I'm here now, and I wouldn't have missed this for anything. He looks at me for a long moment, and then he puts his arms around me. It's not something a lot of 18-year-old boys do with their fathers, but he does. He just holds on. He holds on like he's trying to make sure I don't disappear, like he's grateful that I didn't give up. I'm sorry, Dad, he says. Don't apologize. You didn't do anything. This isn't your responsibility. This is between me and your mother, and you don't have to pick sides. We stand there for a few more minutes, just being present with each other. The crowd around us continues its celebrations, but we're in our own moment. We're in our own space. And then he says, I have to go get some pictures with friends. But can we get one together? Just you and me? Yeah, I say. Of course. A friend of his takes a photo. It's just us, in our moment. His graduation cap and gown, my clean button-down shirt. It's not the picture I imagined having, but it's the picture we earned. It's the picture that represents what it took to be here together. It's the picture that shows that nothing, not anger, not manipulation, not legal maneuvering, could keep us apart on this day. Over the next week, I contact my attorney. His name is David Chen, and he's been handling my custody arrangement since the divorce. He's good at what he does, thorough and ethical and genuinely interested in getting the right outcome for his clients. He's the kind of attorney who actually cares about his work, not just about the paycheck. I tell him everything that happened. I tell him about being put on the do not admit list. I tell him about the vague safety concerns. I tell him about how the principal refused to let me in until the district rep intervened. I tell him how they tried to get me to sign a no-contact agreement after the fact. And I ask him what my options are. I ask him if this was legal. I ask him if there's anything I can do about it. Did they ever produce any documentation of a restraining order? He asks. No. The principal said there were safety concerns, but he wouldn't specify what they were. When I asked to see documentation, there was nothing. That's important. Do you have any written communication from the school about this? Not yet, but I can request it. Do that. Request everything in writing. Every email, every memo, every note about the decision to put you on a do not admit list. And I want to know the specific reason for that decision. They can't just say safety concerns. They have to be specific. What if they refuse to provide documentation? Then we escalate. We file a complaint with the state education board. We request a formal hearing. We make them explain to a judge why they violated your custody rights without legal justification. But I suspect once you start requesting documentation, they'll get nervous. So what do I do now? Send a letter, formal, professional, through me, to the school district office. Request all documentation related to the decision to restrict your access. Don't be aggressive. Be professional. Let them know you have an attorney, but don't threaten. Just ask for the information. I do exactly what he tells me to do. I draft a letter, he reviews it, and he sends it on official letterhead. And then I wait. I wait for a response. I wait for them to either provide documentation or admit that they made a mistake. 2 days later, I get a response from the school. They provide the communication from my ex-wife to the principal, the email she sent saying she had safety concerns and asking that I not be admitted. But nowhere in that communication does she specify what the safety concerns are. She just says it, like that's enough. Like saying something 3 times makes it true. It's not enough. It's not legal grounds to deny me access. And I'm starting to think that maybe I should make that clear. I think about my son a lot during this time. I think about how he felt when he was walking across that stage, knowing his mother tried to keep me out. I think about the emotional burden that places on him. This knowledge that his parents are fighting, that his mother is willing to do something this extreme to keep us apart. I think about what it means for his future relationships, his understanding of boundaries, his idea of what it means to be a parent. and I think about the bigger picture. Because this isn't really about graduation. This is about the future. If my ex-wife can convince a school to put me on a do not admit list for graduation, what else can she convince them to do? Can she block me from his college events? Can she convince them not to give me access to his records? Can she systematically erase me from his life by working through institutions? Can she use the school system to justify limiting my custody? The answer is yes, unless I establish boundaries. Unless I make it clear that this behavior has consequences. Unless I document everything and show that I'm not going to tolerate this kind of interference in my relationship with my son. My attorney and I are having a conversation about this when he brings up something I haven't considered. Your ex-wife didn't just send an email, David says. She was likely banking on the school accepting her request without questioning her. When that didn't work, she should have realized that her approach wasn't legitimate. But instead, I suspect she doubled down. What do you mean? I think there's more happening here than just one email. I think she probably involved her mother. I think there might be a coordinated effort to establish a narrative that you're dangerous or unstable or something along those lines. That takes planning. That takes conspiracy. That's what we need to look for. He's right, and when he says it out loud, I realize I've been sensing this all along. This wasn't impulsive. This was planned. This was coordinated. My ex-mother-in-law was at the graduation dressed like she'd won something. That wasn't random. So what do? I ask. We document everything. We make it clear that you have legal representation and you're not going to be pushed around, and we prepare for the possibility that she might try something more serious, might try to modify the custody arrangement, might try to get a restraining order for real, might try to build a case that you're a danger to your son. She can just do that? Make up charges? She can file anything she wants. The question is whether it will hold up in court. And if you've been documenting her behavior, if you have emails and letters and evidence of her attempts to interfere with your custody rights, then it won't hold up. But you have to be prepared. You have to document everything. You have to respond to everything in writing. You have to build a record that shows her behavior and your responses. I am prepared. Or at least, I become prepared after that conversation. I start keeping detailed records. I save every email. I document every interaction. I prepare for war, not because I want war, but because I can see that war is coming. A month passes. I attend my son's college orientation. I'm there as his father, with my own car, my own hotel room, my own separate experience from his mother. And this time she doesn't try to stop me. This time she knows I won't be deterred. This time, she knows that I'll fight. I have a lawyer, I have documentation, I have the law on my side. But something shifts in me during that month. I stop being the person who's always trying to accommodate everyone else. I stop being the person who accepts without questioning. I start being the person who knows his rights and isn't afraid to enforce them. I start being the person who will stand his ground. It's not an angry shift. It's a clear shift. It's the understanding that being kind doesn't mean being a doormat. Being calm doesn't mean being weak. Being professional doesn't mean being taken advantage of. You can be all of those things and still have boundaries. You can be all of those things and still say no. In early September, about 2 months after graduation, my ex-wife files a motion in court. She's requesting a modification of our custody agreement. Her basis is that she has safety concerns about my involvement in my son's life, and that my behavior at the graduation ceremony was threatening and aggressive. She's building a narrative. The behavior she's referring to is me calmly requesting to see my custody order. My attorney smiles when he reads the motion. It's not a nice smile. It's the smile of someone who sees exactly what's happening and knows exactly how to respond. It's the smile of someone who's been waiting for this. This is actually good news, he says. How is this good news? She's trying to take away my custody. She's trying, but she's going to fail, and she's going to do it in front of a judge. Because she's going to have to explain her safety concerns. She's going to have to provide evidence. And she has no evidence. What she has is her discomfort with you having rights, and that's not enough. The court date is set for October 15th. We have 2 months to prepare. We have 2 months to build our case. We have 2 months to gather evidence that will demonstrate that I did nothing wrong and that my ex-wife is using the legal system to try to control me. During those 2 months, my ex-wife makes a mistake. Actually, she makes several mistakes, but the first one is the most important. She tries to use the graduation incident to build a narrative. She talks to people about it. She tells friends at church about my threatening behavior at the school. She tells her friends at work about how I forced my way in despite being told not to. She tells her mother to corroborate her story, and one of those people is the school counselor, who is also a family friend of mine. The counselor calls me. "Eric, I heard what happened at graduation," she says. "I want to hear your side of the story." I tell her exactly what happened. I tell her that I was on a do not admit list, that I was denied entry, that I had a valid custody order, and that I requested to speak with district administration. I tell her that the district rep sided with me and admitted me to the event. I tell her that I did not raise my voice. I tell her that I did not make threats. I tell her that I simply asserted my legal right to attend my son's graduation. "That's what I thought," she says. "Because what your ex-wife told people doesn't match up with what actually happens at schools. You can't just demand that someone be kept out without documentation. There are protocols, and if you had actually been aggressive or threatening, the school would have called the police." "They didn't call the police," I confirm. "Exactly. So I told your ex-wife that her version of events doesn't match up with school procedures. And now she's angry at me too. But what the counselor has done is provide me with a witness. Someone who can testify that my ex-wife was spreading false information about what happened at graduation. Someone who knows the procedures and can explain why the school should have been more careful about denying me entry. My attorney is very interested in this when I tell him. This could be useful, he says. Very useful. If she's trying to establish a pattern of threatening behavior and we have evidence that she's misrepresenting the graduation incident, then her credibility is damaged. Do you think the counselor would be willing to provide a statement? I think so. She seems genuinely concerned about this. Ask her. And ask her if she's willing to testify in court if necessary. We need witnesses who can speak to your character and to the fact that my ex-wife is being dishonest about what happened. The night before the court hearing, I can't sleep. I'm thinking about all the ways this could go wrong. I'm thinking about my ex-wife and her mother sitting across from me. I'm thinking about the judge deciding that she has a valid concern and limiting my access to my son. I'm thinking about losing custody because my ex-wife successfully convinced the court that I'm dangerous. But then I think about graduation day. I think about my son looking toward the back of the auditorium and knowing I was there. I think about him putting his arms around me and apologizing for something that wasn't his fault. I think about that photo we took together, the two of us, earned through standing my ground. I think about the way his shoulders relaxed when he saw me. And I think about the fact that I have a right to be his father. Not because my ex-wife allows it, not because she gives me permission, but because the court has determined that both of us should have equal access and equal responsibility. That's not something I need her approval to maintain. That's something the law guarantees me. Morning comes. I wear the same blue button-down shirt I wore to graduation. I want the judge to see me as I am, a father who shows up, a father who cares, a father who's willing to fight for his rights, a father who's calm and professional and knows what he's entitled to. My attorney is with me. We go over the strategy one more time. We have the certification from the school that no actual incident report was ever filed against me. We have my custody order, which is clear and current. We have the written communication from my ex-wife, which contains no specific safety concerns. We have the counselor's statement, confirming that my ex-wife has been misrepresenting what happened at graduation. We have the testimony from the district representative, who will verify that I was professional and calm and assertive, without being aggressive. Remember, David says as we sit in the hallway outside the courtroom, stay calm. Don't get emotional. Let the evidence speak for itself. When she makes her claims, just sit there and let her dig her own hole. She's going to say things that aren't true, and that's going to be obvious to the judge. The courtroom is formal and serious. The judge is a woman in her 60s, Judge Patricia Martinez, and she has the kind of face that's seen a lot of custody disputes. She's not going to be impressed by emotion. She's going to want facts. She's going to want evidence. She's going to want to understand what actually happened, not what people claim happened. My ex-wife goes first. She talks about safety concerns. She talks about my behavior at graduation being inappropriate and threatening. She talks about how I forced my way in despite being told not to. She uses language designed to make me sound dangerous. She talks about how uncomfortable she felt. She talks about how she was just trying to protect her son and her family. None of it is true, but she tells it well. She sounds concerned. She sounds like a mother trying to protect her child. She cries a little. She says things like, "I was scared, and I didn't know what he would do." She's performing, and she's good at it. And then it's my turn. I stand and calmly explain what actually happened. I don't raise my voice. I don't get emotional. I just present the facts. I explain that I was put on a do not admit list without any documentation of a reason. I explain that when I requested to see my custody order, the principal refused to acknowledge its validity. I explain that I requested to speak with district administration, as is my right. I explain that the district rep reviewed my custody order and determined that I should be admitted. I explain that I did not raise my voice. I explain that I did not make any threats. I explain that I simply asserted my legal right to attend my son's graduation. Your Honor, I say, I never raised my voice. I never made any threats. I never did anything inappropriate. I simply asserted my legal right to attend my son's graduation, and I have documentation of all of this. I hand David a folder with all the relevant documents. He presents them to the judge. The judge takes her time reading through them. She's evaluating everything. She's comparing what my ex-wife said to what the documents actually say. Furthermore, I continue, no incident report was filed by the school. If I had been threatening or unsafe, there would be an incident report. The school has confirmed there is no such report. What there is an email from my ex-wife requesting that I be denied entry without providing any specific safety concerns. The judge reads through the documents. She reads the custody order. She reads the email from my ex-wife. She reads the school's response. She reads the certification from the district. She reads everything. "Miss Walker," the judge says to my ex-wife, "can you provide any documentation of these safety concerns you've mentioned?" My ex-wife hesitates. She wasn't prepared for this. She thought the judge would just believe her because she sounded emotional. She thought she could get away with vague claims. "Well, he has a history of anger, and—" "Do you have documentation?" the judge interrupts. Her voice is firm. Her voice makes it clear that she's not interested in vague claims or emotional appeals. "No, but has he ever been arrested?" "No." "Has there ever been a protection order filed against him?" "No." "Has he ever violated the terms of your custody agreement?" "I don't. Not exactly. But yes or no, please." "No." The judge puts down the documents and looks at my ex-wife. I can see the moment she understands that she's lost. I can see the realization that her performance didn't work. I can see her understanding that the judge sees through her claims. "Miss Walker, based on what I'm seeing here, you requested that the school deny your ex-husband access to a public school event without providing any legal basis for that request. You've provided no documentation of any incident. You've provided no evidence of any threatening behavior. And your ex-husband has a valid custody order that clearly states he has the right to attend school events." My ex-wife's mother starts to say something, but the judge cuts her off with a look. It's a look that says she's not interested in what the mother-in-law has to say. She's interested in facts and law, not opinions and emotion. "I'm going to be very clear," the judge continues. "The custody order stands as it is. Both parents continue to have equal access to school events, educational records, and all other matters pertaining to your son. Any attempt to interfere with that access will be considered a violation of the custody agreement and will result in sanctions. Is that understood?" "Yes, Your Honor," I say. My ex-wife mumbles something that might be agreement. "Mr. Walker," the judge says, turning to me, "I want to commend you for handling this appropriately. You asserted your rights without being aggressive. You got proper legal help. You documented everything. That's exactly how a parent should respond to this kind of interference. Thank you, Your Honor, I say. Walking out of the courtroom, I feel lighter than I have in months. David puts a hand on my shoulder. You won, he says, and you won decisively. But I don't feel like I won. I feel like I showed up. I feel like I stood my ground. I feel like the system worked the way it's supposed to work, when you know your rights and you're willing to fight for them. I feel like the truth came out, and the judge saw it clearly. I feel like justice was served, not in some dramatic way, but in the simple, clear way that justice should work. My ex-wife passes me in the hallway with her mother. She doesn't say anything, but I can see something in her face. I can see the realization that she went too far. That her attempt to erase me from my son's life didn't work. That she's going to have to accept that I'm his father, and that's not changing. That she can't control this situation and make me disappear through legal maneuvering. Her mother looks angry, like she can't believe that her plan didn't work. Over the next few weeks, things shift. My ex-wife still isn't friendly. That's probably not going to change anytime soon. We'll probably always have tension between us. We'll probably always have this history of conflict. But she stops trying to interfere. She stops trying to block me from events. She attends my son's college events, and I attend them too. We sit separately. We don't interact. But we're both there doing what we're supposed to do, which is supporting our son. My son tells me later that his mother said she was sorry, that she said she thought she was protecting him, but realized she was just making things harder. He doesn't go into detail, and I don't ask for it. I just appreciate that he's telling me. I just appreciate that she's acknowledging what she did. It's not a deep apology or a tearful reconciliation. It's just two people acknowledging that they made mistakes and they're trying to move forward. And somehow, that's better than anything more dramatic would have been. The summer after graduation passes quickly. My son works a job, spends time with friends, and gets ready for college. I try not to pressure him with my presence. I try to let him have his own life while still being available when he needs me. I respect his independence while making sure he knows I'm here. And then, in August, I get an interesting phone call. It's from the principal at the high school. He sounds uncomfortable. His voice is careful and measured. Mr. Walker, this is Principal Harrison from Riverside High. I wanted to reach out to you about something. Yes? I say, wondering what's coming. I'm wondering if there's going to be more trouble. I'm wondering if my ex-wife has tried something else. The district is implementing new policies regarding parental access to school events, and I want to make sure that these policies reflect what happened with your situation. We're going to require that if a parent requests restrictions on another parent's access, there needs to be documentation, an actual court order or a police report. We're not going to accept requests based solely on someone's word. We realized we made a mistake, and we're changing our procedures to make sure it doesn't happen again. I appreciate that, I say. And I do. I appreciate that something good came out of this situation. I appreciate that the school is taking responsibility for their mistake. It was a learning experience for our staff. The principal continues. We should have handled it differently. We should have asked more questions. And I'm sorry we didn't. You handled the situation professionally, and we didn't treat you fairly. I'm sorry. It's not a big apology, but it's something. And it means that what happened to me might prevent it from happening to someone else. It means that my willingness to stand my ground and fight for my rights actually created positive change in the system. Thank you for letting me know, I say. After I hang up, I think about the bigger picture. I think about how every time someone stands their ground, how every time someone refuses to accept injustice, it creates a ripple. It changes the system. It makes things better for the next person. It makes things better for the future. By September, my son is off at college. He's 3 hours away, which is far enough to give him independence, but close enough for weekend visits. I drive up to see him every few weeks, and we have dinner or grab coffee, and I meet his friends, and I see him building a life for himself. I see him becoming the person he's going to be. One day in October, he mentions that he ran into the principal at a store. He said the same thing he told you, Marcus says. He said he's sorry for what happened at graduation. He said the school made a mistake. What did you tell him? I told him it was okay, and that my dad handled it well, and that he taught me something important about standing up for yourself. I'm quiet for a moment. I'm thinking about what my son learned from this experience. I'm thinking about what he's going to take forward in his life. What did you learn? I ask. I learned that being quiet doesn't mean being weak, that you can be calm and still be strong, that sometimes the people who love you are worth fighting for, and that the people who try to keep you from each other don't actually have that power if you don't give it to them. I learned that my dad stood his ground and didn't back down, and that made all the difference. He's not repeating what he said before. He's growing in his understanding. He's learning what it means to stand your ground, not as something angry, but as something necessary. He's understanding that boundaries matter. He's understanding that self-respect matters. That's good wisdom, I tell him. That's really good wisdom. I learned it from you, he says. I watched you handle a difficult situation without getting angry or backing down, and I learned that that's how you're supposed to be. And I realized that that's the real victory. Not the court case, not proving myself right in front of a judge, but the fact that my son learned something about dignity and standing your ground that he's going to carry with him for the rest of his life. Winter comes, and there's a family crisis. My ex-wife's father has a stroke. He's okay, but he's recovering slowly, and she needs help caring for him. And without really discussing it, without really planning it, I find myself helping. I take him to physical therapy appointments. I help my ex-wife figure out medical bills and insurance paperwork. I'm there because a person needs help, and I can provide it. I'm there because it's the right thing to do. My ex-wife is surprised by this. You don't have to do this, she says. I know I don't, but I'm doing it anyway. And I realize that I can be strong and firm in my boundaries while still being kind. I can refuse to let her push me around while still being compassionate when she's struggling. The two things aren't contradictory. They're actually complementary. You can have self-respect and still help people. You can have boundaries and still be kind. Her father recovers slowly but steadily, and one day when I'm helping him get up from the couch, he says to me, "I'm glad you were here. You were good to us, even after everything." Your family, I say. That doesn't go away. And I mean it. My ex-wife and I might not be married, but we're still connected through our son. We're still going to have each other in our lives in some capacity for the rest of our lives. And that means we have to find a way to make it work. We have to find a way to be civil. We have to find a way to put our son's needs first. The relationship between me and my ex-wife isn't perfect, but it's better than it was. And that matters. By spring of the following year, things have settled into a new normal. Marcus is home for spring break, and he sees me and his mother interacting differently than we used to. We're not angry at each other. We're not trying to prove anything to each other. We're just two people who share responsibility for someone they both love, trying to make it work. One night after Marcus goes to bed, my ex-wife and I are sitting in the kitchen, and she says, "I've been thinking about what happened at graduation, and I've been thinking about why I did it." "Yeah?" I say. "I was afraid. I was afraid that you were moving on, that you were going to find someone else, that you were going to forget about us. And I thought if I could just control things, if I could make sure you needed me, then I could prevent that from happening." I listen to this and I understand. I understand because I've felt that fear too. The fear of being replaced. The fear of becoming irrelevant. The fear of losing the people you love because you can't control them anymore. "I'm sorry," she continues. "I know I've said it before, but I'm saying it again. I'm sorry for trying to control you. I'm sorry for trying to keep you from Marcus. I'm sorry for a lot of things." "Thank you," I say. "And I'm sorry too, for maybe not being the kind of present that would have made you feel secure. For being so busy that you had to wonder if I cared." She nods. "We did a lot of things wrong. Yeah. But we're doing better now." And we are. We're not friends exactly, but we're not enemies either. We're two people who made mistakes and are trying to do better. We're two people who are learning that the past doesn't have to define the future. A year after graduation, there's a ceremony where graduates from high school who have completed their first year of college come back to talk about their experiences. Marcus is invited to be part of it. He talks about his transition to college, about the challenges and the victories, and about how his family supported him through it all. Afterward, in the hallway, he introduces me to someone. It's the counselor who helped me, who confirmed that my ex-wife was misrepresenting what happened at graduation. The counselor who stood up for the truth and provided a witness statement. I've told Marcus that your family is a good example of what happens when people decide to do things right. The counselor says to me, when you could have been bitter or given up, you didn't. When you could have let this destroy you, you didn't. And now look at him. He's thriving. He's confident. He knows he's loved. He's thriving because he's a good person, I say. But I appreciate you saying that. As we're leaving, Marcus says to me, that was cool, having someone recognize what you did. What we all did, really. What do you mean? I mean that we could have let graduation day destroy us. Mom could have let losing the court case destroy her. You could have let all the fighting make you angry and bitter. But we didn't. We just moved on. We did better. I put my arm around him. That's wisdom right there, son. That's real wisdom. The years pass, Marcus finishes college, he gets a good job, he's building his own life, he's moving forward. And through all of it, I'm present. Not as the father who had to fight to be there, but as the father who's just there. Because that's my job. That's what I chose to do when I became a parent. One day when Marcus is 22, he comes to visit, and he says, Dad, I want to talk to you about something. About graduation day. Okay, I say. We're sitting in my living room, and there's this ease between us that wasn't always there. This comfort, this understanding. I want to say thank you. Thank you for not giving up. Thank you for standing your ground. Thank you for showing me what that looks like. I'm quiet for a moment. You don't have to thank me. It was my job to be your father. I know, but you did it right. A lot of guys don't. A lot of guys let their ex-wives push them out, or they get so angry that they push themselves out. But you didn't. You just showed up, and you stayed calm, and you won. I did. And I'm glad about that. But more importantly, I'm glad that you turned into a good person. I'm glad that you're not carrying around bitterness or anger about what happened. I'm glad that you understand that your mother and I both love you, even though we couldn't make it work together. He nods. I do understand that, and I understand something else too. What's that? I understand that love isn't about control. It's not about winning arguments or proving you're right. It's about showing up and being present, and refusing to let anything come between you and the people who matter. That's what you did, and that's what I want to do in my life. I feel something in my throat tighten. I feel the emotion of knowing that my son has learned the right lessons from a difficult situation. I feel the pride of knowing that he's going to be the kind of man who treats people with respect and kindness. Time moves on the way it always does. My ex-wife remarries, and it's a good match for her. She's happier than I've seen her in years, and I'm genuinely glad for her, because I don't hate her anymore. I understand her. I see her clearly, with all her flaws and all her strengths, and I wish her well. I wish her happiness. I wish her the best. I don't remarry. I date a few people, but nothing sticks. I'm okay with that. I'm not defined by being in a relationship. I'm defined by my work and by my relationship with my son and by the person I've become through all of this. I'm defined by my ability to stand my ground and maintain my integrity even when it's difficult. Marcus brings his girlfriend home one weekend, and she seems nice. She's smart and kind and treats my son well. She asks good questions and listens to the answers. She's the kind of person who's going to make a good partner. After they go back to college, Marcus tells me that he thinks he might ask her to marry him someday. That's great, I say. What are you going to do differently than your parents did? He thinks about this for a moment. He's thoughtful. He's considering this seriously. I'm going to communicate, he says. I'm going to say what I need and listen to what she needs. I'm not going to assume that I know what she's thinking. And if things don't work out, I'm going to try to do it in a way that's respectful, not in a way that involves trying to control the other person. I learned that from you. That's good, I say. That's really good. And I realized that my son has learned the most important lesson of all. That the measure of a person isn't whether they win or lose, but whether they do it with integrity. That's the lesson I wanted to teach him. That's the lesson that matters most. 5 years after graduation, my son is 23 and working as an engineer. He's doing well, he's happy. He's building a life that has meaning and purpose. He's the kind of person who makes a difference. And one day, completely out of the blue, he says to me, "Dad, I want to write about what happened at graduation. For a magazine, for other kids whose parents are going through custody disputes. I want them to know that it doesn't have to destroy you." "Are you sure?" I ask. "That's personal. That's your family's business." "I know, but I think other people need to hear it. I think other kids need to know that they're not alone, that their parents' divorce doesn't define them. That as long as there's one parent willing to stand their ground and do it with integrity, there's hope." So he writes it. He tells the story of graduation day from his perspective. He talks about the fear he felt when he realized his mother was trying to keep his father out. He talks about the relief he felt when his father didn't give up. He talks about what that taught him about strength and dignity. He talks about the importance of boundaries and self-respect. The article is published online and goes viral. Within days, Marcus is getting messages from people whose lives it touched. People who were in similar situations. People who needed to know that it was possible to navigate custody disputes without destroying yourself. People who needed to know that there was hope. And Marcus tells me, "This is what you made possible, by standing your ground, by refusing to be the bad guy even when people wanted you to be. You created a story that helps people." "I didn't do it to create a story," I say. "I did it because it was right." I know, and that's why the story has power. Because it's genuine. Because you weren't trying to prove anything. You were just trying to be a good father. On a quiet afternoon, years after graduation, I'm sitting in my office working when my phone buzzes. It's a message from someone I don't know. They say they read Marcus's article about graduation day, and they want to thank me. The message says, "I'm in a custody dispute with my ex-wife. She's trying to keep me from seeing my kids. Your story gave me the courage to fight for my rights. I got a lawyer. I'm documenting everything. I'm staying calm and strong. And I want you to know that you made a difference in my life. You showed me that it's possible to win without being the bad guy. You showed me that you can be calm and still be strong. Thank you." I read that message several times, and I understand something that I've been slowly learning over the past years. That standing your ground isn't selfish. That fighting for your rights isn't about winning. That sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is refuse to disappear. Because when you refuse to disappear, you teach everyone around you that they don't have to disappear either. You teach them that they have rights. You teach them that love is stronger than control. You teach them that it's possible to be calm and strong at the same time. You teach them that integrity matters. I think back to that day at graduation, standing at the security desk, being told I wasn't allowed in. I think about how easy it would have been to accept that, to turn around and drive home and feel sorry for myself, to let my ex-wife win through default, to be the kind of father who gave up. But I didn't. I stood my ground. I asserted my rights. I did it without anger. I did it without bitterness. I did it knowing that I had every right to be there, that my son needed me to be there, and that nothing was going to stop me. I did it because I understood that this was about more than just graduation. This was about setting a precedent. This was about showing my son what it means to fight for what's right. That one moment, that one decision to walk into an office with one printed page and demand to be treated fairly, created a ripple that's still going out into the world. It showed my son what integrity looks like. It taught him that love is a choice, not a negotiation. It proved to him that standing your ground doesn't have to be angry or destructive. It proved to him that you can be calm and still be strong. It proved to him that the right thing to do is often the hardest thing to do. And now it's helping other people. People I'll never meet. People who are in situations I never experienced. People who needed to know that it was possible. People who needed a model for how to handle these situations with grace and strength. I realized something important, that the real victory isn't winning in court. The real victory isn't getting the judge to rule in my favor. The real victory isn't proving that I was right and my ex-wife was wrong. The real victory is the kind of person my son has become. The real victory is the knowledge that he learned important lessons about integrity and standing your ground from watching me handle a difficult situation. That's the kind of victory that lasts. That's the kind of victory that matters. Years after the events of graduation day, I'm sitting in my office and I get an email from a man I don't know. He writes, "I read your son's article about graduation day. I was in a similar situation with my ex-wife. I was about to give up. I was about to let her win. But then I read about how you stood your ground. I read about how you stayed calm and professional and didn't let anyone push you around. It gave me the courage to fight for my relationship with my kids. I hired a lawyer. I documented everything. I stayed calm, and I won. Thank you for showing me that it was possible." When I read that email, I understand that this journey, from the moment I heard you're on the Do Not Admit list, to now, has been about more than just me. It's been about showing other people what's possible. It's been about proving that you can stand your ground without being aggressive. It's been about demonstrating that integrity matters. It's been about creating a blueprint for how to handle difficult situations with grace and strength. On a quiet afternoon, years after graduation, I'm sitting in my office and I think about how far we've all come. My son is happy and successful. My ex-wife has found peace and happiness. I've found a sense of purpose in helping other people navigate similar situations. And most importantly, I found the understanding that standing your ground isn't about winning or losing. It's about knowing who you are and refusing to compromise that, no matter what. I think about that blue button-down shirt that I wore to graduation. I think about that one printed page that I carried in my pocket. I think about the moment when I decided that I wasn't going to be pushed around anymore. I think about the moment when I decided that my relationship with my son was worth fighting for. And I think about the fact that none of that would have happened if I'd given up. None of that would have happened if I'd let my ex-wife win. None of that would have happened if I'd been the kind of person who accepts injustice quietly. So yes, I went to my son's graduation. Yes, I was on a Do Not Admit list. Yes, I walked into an office with my custody order and my calm demeanor and my refusal to accept injustice. Yes, I won. Not because I was stronger or louder or angrier, but because I was right. Because I refused to disappear. Because I loved my son more than I feared the consequences. And that, I'm learning, is the definition of true strength. That's what it means to be a good father. That's what it means to stand your ground. The best revenge wasn't revenge. It was refusing to disappear.